Black Magic Woman podcast acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this episode on. We also acknowledge traditional owners of the land where you, the listener or viewer, are tuning in from. We would like to pay our respects to our elders past and present and acknowledge that this always was Aboriginal land and always will be Aboriginal land.
This episode is proudly brought to you by ANZ,
a new series of conversations
with different mob around the country
to yarn about meaningful career opportunities within ANZ,
building the capacity of Indigenous businesses and organisations, and helping individuals in the broader community to achieve financial well-being and resilience.
Welcome to the Black Magic Woman podcast with Mundanara Bales.
Hello, you mob, and welcome to another amazing episode of Black Magic Woman podcast. I am on the unceded lands of the beautiful Whadjuk Noongar Budja, which is Perth, CBD here. And it's interesting though, I've been here for a couple of days and I've learnt so much about the Whadjuk people, and it's now just flowing off the tip of my tongue. And I've been here for 3 days. Can I just say, Cameron, thank you so much for taking time out to join me and to be here and to also share the amazing business that you're the managing director of at MIB Projects. So without further ado, can I get you to share a little bit about yourself, your name, your mob, whether you're a black fella or a white fella, we all got a mob. We all connect to somewhere, to some place. But we have our own ways of telling those stories, so I'm going to hand over to you.
Thanks for having me on the podcast. It's it's a fantastic opportunity to come and have a chat. So, I'm Cameron Bunker, Managing Director of MIB Projects. I grew up in Tasmania. I guess growing up in Tassie, look, it was fantastic. Spent a lot of time outdoors, very passionate about the outdoors, and just climbing trees and running amok, I guess, as a young kid. After I turned 17, I moved over to Melbourne, where I went to university, and I did environmental science. I suppose I never really worked as an environmental scientist. It was something that I was passionate about, and I still am. And hopefully one day, we could circle back and the business might be able to broach on some kind of environmental sciences work.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Working with black fellas.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The first, when you think about the first scientist.
Yeah. The
first environmentalist, the first conservationist.
Mm.
So you've got that background.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I finished uni and I went back to Tassie and I didn't really know what to do with myself. Didn't really have any money or anything like that. So I started doing odd jobs for family and friends and saved up a few dollars and bought a dirt bike. As a kid, I always imagined just heading off into the sunset on a motorbike and traveling around and being free. So that was my dream. And it took me all the way up to the Pilbara, where I broke down and ran out of money.
You rode to the Pilbara?
Yeah.
Basically, on a motorbike?
Yeah, yeah.
On your own?
On my own.
Wow. Talk about that feeling of freedom.
Yeah, definitely.
You broke down in the Pilbara?
Yeah, I broke down in the Pilbara. I actually found a job working as an environmental advisor for Rio Tinto. Just a strange set of circumstances, and I landed the job. I stayed in it for about a year, but I didn't really want to work for the man. That was kind of my feeling. So I quit and I started a lawn mowing company. And really, that's where it all started, I guess.
An environmentalist, scientist, you get on a motorbike, you leave Tassie or Melbourne, you break down in the Pilbara.
Yeah.
You start doing the work with Rio, and then you become a lawnmower man.
Yeah.
You start your business, your own business.
That's right.
That's your first business.
Yeah, that's it. That's where it all started. And Yeah, so kept that up for a few months. I ended up moving back down to Perth, and it was sort of 2010, and there was a huge hailstorm, and so the business sort of pivoted. As a result of the hailstorm, there was a huge demand for painting because of all the damage to all the roofs and everything like that. And so I had an ad in the paper that was advertising for lawn mowing and just no job too big, no job too small, and odd jobs. And I got in painting, into painting, and yeah, it meant that there was such a high demand. I was able to put on some staff and ended up with five workers in just a really short amount of time. And from painting, we moved into sign writing, which again it's another story, a long story, but
you met the demand.
Yeah.
There was a demand.
There was a demand,
yeah.
And at the time there was a few things changing in the industry. I wasn't aware of them, but they just so happened to be, and we got an opportunity to start making signs. And so we bought we leased a little factory in Bayswater in WA in Perth. And myself and Adam, who's my business partner to this day, he and myself, we were just working around the clock and supplying signs. I had a connection still to the Pilbara and to Rio Tinto and FMG from my time working there for a year. And one of the guys that I was working with back then started to buy bits and pieces from us, and we landed a contract with FMG. So we were about 4 or 5 years into business at that time, and we had 4 or 5 employees and were working hard. And we got a phone call from FMG, and they mentioned that the MIB community were interested in signage and wanted to come and have a chat. So, they a couple of the elders came down from the Pilbara, and we had a yarn, and ended up offering a 25% equity of the small business, very small business.
So
at the time,
you had traditional owners, elders, invest in your business.
That's right.
They bought into your business.
Yeah.
Essentially, you and Adam.
Yep. That's it.
This is crazy.
Yeah. It's, I guess there's, like looking back at it now, 10, 15 years ago when it all started to happen, Aboriginal business was not what it is today. I think the MIB community had only sort of recently set up their enterprise, and they had a couple of other sort of joint venture arrangements going. Joint ventures can be challenging, I believe. Like they kind of, they might be contract by contract, or they're sort of fraught with danger. Anyway, the idea was that to take a sort of grassroots business and have direct ownership in that. I think that's where the group was interested in heading after a couple of joint ventures didn't really work out for them. So,
and good on you for jumping in and saying, let's do this.
Yeah,
I mean, this is an incredible story already. We haven't even got down to the This is unbelievable, and I'm pretty sure people that are listening to the podcast, especially people that are watching this podcast, how this is unfolding, that these black fellas bought into the business that you and Adam set up out of the blue. You're doing painting first, lawn mowing, environmental scientist, and now you're doing sign writing, working with FMG, and next minute you're now MIB Projects. So you've gone from that 25% ownership to now, what's it been like? How long you've been doing this for?
Yeah, so pretty soon after MIB enterprises joined into Core Sign, which was the sign writing company, we launched MIB Traffic. When you're making signs and installing signs on the side of the road, you need traffic management. So it sort of went hand in hand, and
This is great.
Yeah, it spun out of that. So at that time, we actually launched a new business, and that was 60% owned by MIB Community. So
Okay, so the MIB Communities launched this new business, which is the traffic.
the
business?
traffic business.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in terms of like traffic management, traffic control, did you partner with like an RTO?
No, we didn't.
I'm waiting for you to say, no, we became an RTO.
No, we've thought about it, but no, it
Very
hasn't
expensive,
come yet.
very hard to get that, certification and
Yeah.
accreditation. I worked for an RTO for 7 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the traffic management side had been, what would you say, the majority of your business?
It has been now.
It took off?
It took off,
Yeah.
So the first couple of years were pretty quiet, and we were just sort of building our knowledge base and understanding of the industry. But we decided to move the company up and become Pilbara-centric. I guess that really talks to the vision of the company. So understanding that vision, which was, some of the elders been really instrumental in guiding that strategy and that understanding. So, it's funny. I remember, a few years after starting the company, MIB Traffic, and we went to one of the community meetings, and we have to talk about the business and what opportunities there are. And really, the main opportunity was for traffic controllers, which makes sense. And I remember one of the ladies stood up and she said, this is really fantastic that there's, opportunities for people to become traffic controllers, but what about those people who don't want to be traffic controllers? And I really didn't have an answer.
Of course, you put on the spot there for a bit.
Yeah, it was, that was all we had to offer. So I sort of went away and we looked back at the vision for the company, which is to be the number one employer of choice for Pilbara Aboriginal workforce. So what we were doing and what the vision of the company was, they weren't aligned.
There's a bit of a gap there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've got to start somewhere.
You do.
So,
and you got to know that there is a gap to then try and address closing it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's really been my focus for the last 4 or 5 years. And the company has sort of taken on a life of its own now. It's we're growing in leaps and bounds. We decided to pivot and start looking at where we could expand and what kind of works we could do. And so hence we've just changed the company name from MIB Traffic to MIB Projects. And that we're now sort of up around 200 staff, and we're anywhere between 30 and 40% Aboriginal employment.
Yeah. Which is massive when most Australian companies, especially with reconciliation action plans, they're struggling to hit 1%.
Sure.
They're struggling to reach their 3% target.
Yeah.
They're struggling to get to 1%. You're at 30 to 40%.
Yeah.
Because that's the vision.
That's right. That's the vision. The company's why. It's really is to provide that social value. Mm-hmm. So, we deal with BHP, FMG, Rio Tinto, all the big resource companies, and that's really because they're the companies that are operating on country.
Of course, that's the only industry and opportunities.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, right? You're not taking people from community, right?
Right.
Because
that's
some people
one of the
have to
challenges.
leave. They've got to leave
That's
community to get into the workforce.
Yeah.
So one of your goals or objectives is trying to provide opportunities on country or close to country.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the opportunities they've got to leave.
That's right. Yeah. So, the company's mission when we start to dive into it, is, it's really to provide that sustainable pathways for employment. So it's not providing sustainable employment, but it's providing the pathways. So it's working out how we can be that conduit between, these large international
so you don't mind
dollar businesses.
Yeah, you don't mind if you lose them. You don't mind if you lose some of these mob that go into those big.
No.
Okay. So you don't see that as a threat or a.
No, it's a challenge, but it's certainly not like we've got a huge number of stories, of success stories of people who have come in and had the opportunity with MIB projects.
Got probably their first job.
Exactly, right. Exactly.
So you're skilling them up.
Yeah.
And like you said, their pathways. I think that's so important for people to understand, that obviously that are listening to this podcast, is that these pathways, that create obviously opportunities, the next stepping stone. But we're just talking about being able to wake up, come to work on time, understand the workforce, understand the industry, the sector, the company, all of those things that a lot of, non-Aboriginal people take for granted. Like, that's just, you fellas know all this.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been living in cities and generations of your people have had opportunities and access to opportunities. Mm-hmm. You got some of these people, in the Pilbara, I imagine, where English is their fifth language.
That's it.
So these are some of they're not barriers, but challenges.
The challenges, right?
That organisations like yours, you have to figure that out so that you're not setting our mob up for failure.
That's right.
So I love the fact that you're saying it's not about employment opportunities, it's a big part of it, but it's about pathways.
Yeah, definitely. So when you get into the really nitty-gritty things, there's some amazing things happening within the business that, I probably, I couldn't claim to take
all the credit for
it at all. There's some fantastic things happening. We're running a busing service. So traditionally, a lot of these mine sites like to employ people fly in, fly out. One size fits all, and you can't fit the square peg into a round hole kind of thing. So we focus in on what it is that we can do to assist and support. So
looking at those gaps again.
Yeah. So something as simple as having a drive-in, drive-out service and consulting with the big business to explain why it's so important for us to have that. Putting controls around it so that it's deemed safe and we get approval. But then, there's that. There's looking at all kinds of things. We pay weekly. Something as
instead of fortnightly or monthly.
Instead of fortnightly or monthly, we pay weekly. So, that helps us.
It's a bit more admin. It might be a bit more admin.
Yeah, it's a bit more admin, and you've got to monitor cash flow and all those kind of things. But it helps to support that ecosystem.
Of course.
And
those people, right? They're the reason why you exist.
Exactly.
Like you said, you want to become the number one employer of choice for Aboriginal people in the Pilbara. I love the vision.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with ANZ Bank?
Look, the ANZ has been incredible. They, we were flashing up on their database or something, flashing red.
Yep. There's a flag there in the system.
Yep. And when they came in, they sort of did a deep dive into the company and started to really understand and unpack it. And that's been, incredible. So, we're flashing red, we're growing so fast and keeping up. And I think, traditionally ANZ might steer away from businesses that are deemed high risk. But what we were able to do is through again, back to FMG, through a initiative that they were undertaking, was that we were able to tap into a finance package where FMG were acting as guarantor on the contract, and that's helped us set the business on a good platform to be able to kind of achieve the goals that we're setting out to achieve. That's that's sort of where ANZ came in. And
it's a new initiative. Or is it just new for you fellas? Like, it's been around for a while?
Yeah, it's been around for a while. You're really understanding it. I think it's really set up for smaller businesses. And, 3 years ago, we weren't anywhere near where we are now. So whether we need that in the future, hopefully we can stand on our own 2 feet and we don't need to go to, for these corporate guarantees and things, we don't need to go to
well, you're giving,
clients
these
and stuff.
opportunities to other black businesses then.
That's it.
That are going to benefit,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm sure they can't help everyone.
No.
That, have the potential to be as big and successful as you fellas are. So it's kind of like, when you can stand on your own 2 feet, you're giving up that spot basically.
That's it, yeah.
For another black business.
Yep.
Is it just, do you know if it's Western Australian based or Pilbara based? Because FMG is definitely Pilbara based, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I'm not 100% sure. I'd say it might be Australia-wide, but
could be.
It's definitely for businesses, I think, that engage with FMG.
Okay.
We're hopeful, that we might be able to work with BHP on them setting something similar up. I mean, these companies, these large resource companies, they have, a huge demand for Aboriginal business. And the commitments that they're making in terms of their spends with Aboriginal business.
How much are we talking about? What are these big spends?
Well, look, I don't know exactly
but
the
it's
numbers
big.
off the top of my head, but they're big.
Are we talking like $1 billion?
Yeah.
A couple of $100 million?
No, I think, BHP maybe by 2030 is looking at a 1.5 billion spend with Aboriginal business.
Stop it.
Yeah, so it's huge.
This is really exciting for, black fellas in business.
Yeah.
It's been, the luck of the draw, if you want to say that, that we've been locked out of the, economy. We haven't had an opportunity to participate in society right up until we became citizens. So this is really exciting for us, for our mob to hear these stories in particular, and for non-Aboriginal business owners to look at this example, as a business or a case study, and to be inspired that we can work together to achieve, mutual outcomes or benefits. We can do it. So what's been one of the biggest challenges? If you could name one of the biggest challenges,
Gosh, yeah, there's been a lot.
I'm sure there is. White fellas being kind of assimilated into black fella world.
Yeah.
And being able to operate on Aboriginal terms.
Yeah.
You want to do business with black fellas, for far too long, we as Aboriginal people have been forced to participate in white or mainstream society. So it's the other way around now. You're not being forced. You put your hand up. You took the, you voluntary. It was a voluntary for you to do this. In terms of being able to work with these elders, our old people, maybe what's one of the biggest learnings then? Instead of challenges, let's turn it. What's been one of the biggest learnings?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's for me personally, like understanding and, the cultural awareness training, that kind of stuff. Like we, so for so long we've been focused head down, bum up and not even coming up for air kind of thing. So to, for me, that's where I want to focus on is that cultural awareness and trying to bridge that gap where, recognising that we're working in, Aboriginal community and business, being able to, communicate effectively with the elders and things like that is
without offending or disrespecting,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people like you, Cameron and Adam, your business partner, that have good intentions and really want to be part of, positive change.
Yeah.
On a personal level, on a societal level, but for this country to start to see the value and embrace us as Aboriginal people. in fact, embrace the rich history and heritage of this country that dates back, at least 140,000 years.
It's incredible, right?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
What does your family say about
Oh,
your path, your journey, like where you've ended up? And I know you're still young. You still got other things that you're probably going to achieve in your life. But what has it been like in terms of your family to see you, run and be in business with Aboriginal people?
Yeah. So, look, I've got 2 elder sisters and my parents, and they are all back in Tasmania. Each time I talk to them, something else is happening and it's all exciting, and they've got my full support. Mm-hmm. They've been incredible.
Are you finding yourself educating them?
Yeah, definitely. Every opportunity I get to go home, we sit around the dinner table and we have these discussions. And I think, especially in Tasmania, the history's been swept under the carpet, right? There's, for me, growing up in any of the textbooks and everything like that through school, there was no education of anything prior to European settlement.
Or supposedly, Truganini being the last Aboriginal full blood who died, and there's no Aboriginal people left. That was what most Tasmanian people were taught.
Yeah.
But blackfellas would say, well, hold a minute.
That's it.
We all didn't wait for them to turn up and shoot us. We got out of there. The ones that could escape of Flinders Island. There's a lot of Aboriginal people from Tasmania that have been living in Naarm, in Melbourne, for like 8 generations.
Yeah, right.
It's incredible hearing these stories. And it's so important that we get these opportunities to learn from each other. Black fella, white fella, Indigenous, non-Indigenous. We've got so much to offer, especially white Australia. For us as black fellas, we've got so much to offer. And it's just still kind of saddens me that we're still where we are as a nation. But as individuals, there's so much goodwill, there's so much that's happening that we don't get to hear about. So I'm so thankful, and I feel really appreciative that I've been able to partner with ANZ Bank to bring this series to mainstream Australia and also to the rest of the world. So I roll out all of ANZ Bank's cultural capability training, and I've been rolling that out to the bank for about 4 or 5 years. And that in itself, their investment in my company, and I'm in business with my elders. To me, I feel, obviously I feel quite, no, I don't feel appreciative because we work hard.
Yeah.
Nothing's given to us, or, it's not a grant or whatever. You don't apply for it.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to, justify your business case or what your value proposition is. There's other black fellas that do what we do, but do it a little bit differently. So it's not easy to be an Aboriginal woman, in particular in my circumstances, to be an Aboriginal woman in business, to not have government support because we don't need it.
Yeah.
But a lot of non-Aboriginal people think if you're a successful black business, then obviously you've got a government support or handouts. And so there's a whole lot of education. And there's a whole lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
So you're in a unique position, or kind of you can bridge that gap within your own family.
Yeah, sure.
And start to get them to see Aboriginal people through a different lens.
Yeah.
What about John? You've got children?
I do. So,
you do?
Yeah, look, I spoke about my, my family. I didn't mention my wife, Chelsea.
Go.
So, yeah, she's incredible woman. She's just started back at school actually today, along with the 2 kids. I've got Elise and Joe. They're year 1 and year 3, and so look, they're incredible. They keep
put
me
up
going,
with you.
and they put up with me. Look,
Everything that you're doing, you got to have a deadly woman
Yeah, she's
holding it down, looking
right.
after kids,
Yep.
and trying to keep you going as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't forget
She's-
these amazing women in our lives.
She is incredible. So, yeah, she's West Australian, born and bred, and just a fantastic support for letting me do what I do. So, yeah, I'm really thankful for that. Yeah.
I'm glad we mentioned it because we're about to wrap up this yarn. And my kids always say to me, "You didn't even say hello to me, Mum." So I think it's so important that we don't forget those little people in our lives because they're watching us.
Yeah.
And they're listening.
That's right.
And they're taking a lot of it in. I'm excited to, especially for your children, because I can only imagine that you're going to be passing down all this knowledge and experience for them to pick up from where you leave off. They're going to be running this business too one day. And that's what excites me with my kids about, being in business and being entrepreneurs. So what else are you going to do? Before we wrap up, what's next? Is there anything?
What's next?
Or you just focus on what you're doing and keep doing that well?
Yeah, I think so. We're not looking to consolidate or anything like that. We're definitely looking to continue to expand. Ideally, I would love to circle back onto some environmental work, and I know that the community, just because there's mining on country, doesn't mean that we need to always be working just on mining.
Yeah, because mining's not going to be forever.
No, it's not.
It's a limited. There's a time frame with industries like that.
Yeah, like the destruction of the country as well. Like it's a very hot topic, and we could talk forever about it. But ideally, if we could circle back and maybe get into some rehab work, or like there's I don't know, renewables. Look, there's mine site rehabilitation is a huge space, and again, as an Aboriginal business and community-owned business, I think there's definitely there's a requirement for us to be looking at working in that space. So
they got the right person with your background.
Oh, I hope so.
Don't let it go to waste.
Yeah. No.
Look, I'm really excited. I haven't had a yarn with anyone on this podcast over the last 3 years. I'm talking about 130 episodes. So this yarn is different. It's unique. So I'm really thankful that you got the call up to be able to represent this business. But thank you as well, like for doing what you're doing. It's like I said, it's stories like these that need to be told of how we can work together.
Yeah.
And just imagine what kind of country our children and our children's children are going to grow up in, because we've taken the first step.
That's it. It's a generational thing. And that's why the kids are so important, right? There's no quick fixes. There's no stopgaps and plugging holes, none of that. It's getting down dirty, getting in the trenches and just having a crack.
Oh, good on you for literally, throwing yourself in there. You and your business partner. Big shout out to you, Adam. Next time I might get you on here and have a yarn.
Yeah.
But thank you for making time to be here and to just share your story, your life. What an amazing, so far from all the things that you've done to get to where you are. And I'm pretty sure there's more to come.
Definitely.
Good. Well, thank you for coming.
Thanks very much.
No worries.
Thanks for having me.
Well, look, I'm pretty sure that for people out there that are wondering about business opportunities, ring up ANZ Bank. There are actually black fellas working in the business that are business bankers, First Nations peoples, that will be more than happy to have a yarn on the phone or jump on a Teams meeting to see how they can best support your business ventures. So thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, bye for now.
If you'd like to know more about how ANZ can help improve your financial well-being or help you start, run or grow your business, visit anz.com or call 131314.
A big shout out to all you Deadly Mob and allies who continue to listen, watch and support our podcast. Your feedback means the world. You can rate and review the podcast on Apple and Spotify, or even head to our socials and YouTube channel and drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. The Black Magic Woman podcast is produced by Clint Curtis.